and this is my previously biased perspective, a lot of NFT projects on Solana, to me, the art wasn't hitting, right? DeGods was the first collection that I ever clicked on that I was like, this is so sick.
Thank you.
Right? But
yeah.
I know nothing about the backstory of the art. I don't know like who did it, what sort of the vision or like the meaning behind it was. The meaning, I don't know, might just be to look cool. And then I know there were like the dead gods came into play, but I don't know what sort of the storyline of that happening.
Yeah, happy to give the whole story. I think it's actually pretty interesting. So when we launched back in like September of last year, at the time on Solana, it was basically just all animal JPEGs, and like me and my boys, like we just didn't identify with any fucking animal. So we were just like, man, well, we want to do something that's not an animal. And we also want to be like fucking alphas. We want to like make it some dope shit that people would be proud to represent. So we landed on gods, and we were like, yo, fuck it. Like, why be like a fucking cat or like, a lion or whatever? Let's just be a fucking god. And so that's kind of where the name DeGods came from. And the art itself, the goal was to have a guy, to be totally honest, that looked godly, but also kind of like have this air of smugness to him. And I think like that was that subtle thing where there's people that do, human-based PFPs, but there is an opinion that you can put into the art. And so our opinion on the art was we wanted the DeGod to look a little bit smug, like a little bit like he's fucking better than you. And that to inform kind of like how we carry ourselves as a community, and never in like a toxic way, but it's really about confidence. And so when we launched the initial DeGods art, realistically, like we just were not expecting the amount of hype that we got around DeGods when we first kind of like launched the first landing page. And so to be totally honest, we rushed the fuck out of the original DeGods art. We did the whole collection in like 2.5 weeks and basically like just killed ourselves doing it. And then we launched it. And over time, I just realized, man, like we had so many fucking ugly DeGods. There were the cool ones that definitely looked sick, but there was a lot of like ugly DeGods, and that was just holding us back, in terms of like growing in floor price, just growing as a community. Because the issue is like, yeah, people like when the floor is just thick as fuck with all the ugliest DeGods, it's a horrible first impression because everyone's default filter is like lowest price, and you just see all these ugly DeGods, you're like, yo, fuck this collection. And so we were trying to like solve this problem of how do we make this art better, because our main artist that did the original DeGods, literally like two weeks after we launched it, Delilah is the name. He was just like, bro, what the fuck? Like, I could have done so much better on this. Like, why do we throw this glow? Why do we have this dumbass fruit roll up in the mouth? Like, why do we do all this dumb shit? And so we were like, man, like, let's just redo the whole fucking collection, and let's just take our fucking time and make this what we believe is the best art on any fucking, best 2D illustration art on any blockchain regardless. And that started a 3-month journey of what is now called DeGods. And we just basically redid every single trait. Some of them we reimagined. So for example, you turn like a shitty fucking fruit roll up into like a cool pipe that's in the guy's mouth. We turn like this dumbass mushroom cap into like just a sick beanie that, looks cool on the guy. And so it ended up taking us 3 months, which I think there's not that many projects that exist in NFTs that took 3 fucking months on their art. We also needed some help, so we brought in 2 people that we really liked from the one-of-one scene. Both of them, the subtle flex is like they had like, under like 100, 200 followers when we found them. We just really liked what the one-on-one art they were creating. And we're like, yo, can we fly you out to LA to just live with us for the next like 2 months and like work with us on this fucking DeGods like mission? And took a little bit of convincing, but they were fucking down. They came down here. And like the goal was just to have no floors. We wanted all the, every single trait we had on there to have like an intricate level of detail, a backstory, some thought behind it. And dude, I'm just, to this day, I'm the most proud of like the work we did on DeGods, because I think, man, like it ultimately led to the catalyst of DeGods growing as fast as it did. Because before DeGods, we were pumping on the expectation of DeGods, but nobody expected the art to be like as detailed and as intricate as it was. And that created like this disbelief rally of like, holy fuck, like what am I looking at? And that's what kind of sent us to becoming the #1 project on Solana. Like that was that moment. So it means a lot to me, and it was a labor of fucking love, because we didn't make a single dollar on DeGods because we didn't want to make it a dilutive collection and do a second collection, even though at the time we easily could have made fucking M's on just like, dropping it as a second collection. But we were like, man, we want to make DeGods the best project. We don't want to like dilute the supply. So instead of making it a separate collection, we actually made it an update to the metadata, so people could spend, our token dust and update their art to be the new DeGods art. And yeah, so it stays the same collection, no dilution, same 10,000 NFTs, just a new image on it. And that's kind of how we did DeGods. Yeah. And that's why there's some DeGods still left over, because some people, didn't want to switch, don't have enough dust, whatever it is. But now I think 86% of the entire collection is DeGods, which is fucking sick to me. And yeah, I love the artwork.
So I didn't even know that it was like a dust spinning mechanism. How much was it? How much dust did it cost?
It was 1,000 dust at launch, which was at the time like the equivalent of about like 40 sol. And and that was, it was pretty intense of a price, but that's just because, dust was running up and all this stuff. But if you were to upgrade, if you did upgrade it, and still to this day, you basically get 3 times the rewards of whatever the daily dust emissions of whatever DeGods collect. And so at the time it was 10, dust per day for a DeGod, but a DeGod was getting 30 dust a day. And so for people that, did it early, like it definitely fucking paid off. And even now, with everything we want to create around dust, it's definitely worth it to have a DeGod.
Do you think that like there will be a time whenever the OG DeGods become so rare in the collection that they're worth more?
It's an interesting question, and I know a lot of people in our community specifically like do think that that's the case. What I would just say is like, when you're building like the game mechanics, which it's not necessarily a game, it's more of like a social game, but like it is a game nonetheless. When you're building game mechanics, you got to figure out what variables you want people to focus on. And so I know there's people that are trying to, hold on to their OG DeGod for future value, but we are going to launch a software tool that lets you switch it back to the original PFP at a certain point. It's just not a high priority. And so to me, I don't think there's going to be a lot of value. And I've said this like, 100 times, but people still do it. So, hey, maybe they're right.
You can't control the
you can't control the market. You can't do it, right? But I'm just like, man, I would definitely want the extra dust per day that you get with the DeGod. But hey, like that's kind of the thing. We're going to launch that tool that lets you kind of swap back and forth. So I don't see too much of value, especially if you have like, 86% of the collection so far. If everyone holds out, like they're just going to get, less dust a day. Also,
NFT
coming out soon. The only people that get the guaranteed mint for are DeGod holders, not DeGod holders. And that's just kind of our way of like, we're trying to build an intricate system here, and you got to reward people that take actions that you want them to take along the way. And so we can't like reward DeGods because they didn't take the leap of faith of doing like 1,000 dust, and you can still do it, by the way, at any time. You can take a DeGod at any time and upgrade it into a DeGod. But the mechanism that makes it sustainable is that every single day it goes up by, the price goes up by 3.33 dust. And then when you're halving, it goes up by 1.5. So we just hit our halvings emissions. So now it goes up by 1.67 or something like that. And so these are just like, tokenomic things that make the whole ecosystem sustainable.
So is that where the 3.33 came from?
Well, 33.33 came from the original launch for DeGods. We had this thing called the paper hand bitch tax, and that's actually what got us a lot of attention. Yes, the PHBT, paper hand bitch tax. And so, the guys that started the DeGods team, a lot of us came from like software engineering, all this stuff. And the reason we even went to Solana in the first place, this is like, for the ETH homies that are listening, the reason we went to Solana in the first place is because it was such an early ecosystem back when we launched. Magic Eden didn't even exist. Like they founded right around the time we minted.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts, right? Like so for us, we were just like, man, it's a fucking open playground. Let's do something interesting you can't do on ETH. You can only do on Solana. And so like the concept of editing a smart contract for an NFT, editing the marketplace contract for an NFT, that just seemed like, for us nerds, really fucking interesting. And so we were like, man, what do people want? That's my whole theme with DeGods. Like, we just want to build shit people actually want. So like, what do people want? They want these fucking paper hand bitches to stop undercutting the floor. And so we were like, okay, here's the plan. Let's basically tax people that list underneath 33.3%. I mean, let's tax people that list under the floor 33.3%. Take that, we don't control it. It goes to an automated contract that will basically burn any NFT, that the lowest price NFT on the marketplace. And so you tax 33.3% for any undercutters. When it gets bought by somebody, they get taxed 33.3%, and it goes into this burn wallet. And the burn wallet will basically sweep the floor and burn those NFTs out of existence. And that's how we started out. And that's where the 33.3% came out. But the problem with this is like, it really just didn't work. And we ended up burning like 500.
It never works.
Yeah, it never.
Brother, it never works.
No, it's just fucking retarded in retrospect, right? Of course. But at the time, we were like fucking hype. And say what we will about paper hand bitch tags and how badly it did not work. What it did do is attract a community of people that are interested in fucking experiments. And that is the only reason we're successful today, is because in those initial days, we attracted a very interesting group of people, and a lot of people's like first mint, a lot of people's most high conviction play, because it was such an interesting concept to them, and the fact that we were experimenting. And so 33.3% today, the reason why we still have it, even though we got rid of the paper hand bitch tax a long time ago back in January, is it's kind of a symbol of like, this is my pinned tweet on my Twitter, we tried some shit, we learned some shit, we're trying some new shit. It's kind of just a symbol of like, yo, this is like our roots. This is kind of how we started, but we moved on. But the spirit of experimentation is why you buy a DeGod, is why you're in this community, because you know that we're never going to settle for doing some like mid shit. If we're going to launch something, we're going to do something new, it's going to be the newest shit. It's going to be something that you've never heard of. It's going to be something different. And yeah, I think that's like that's kind of where the 33.3% really comes from, and why we still keep it to this day. So yeah, that's the story. Paper hand pitch tax.
I did not know. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So you're the reason I got taxed 33.3%.
Oh, did you undercut? Fuck. Oh yeah, that worked, dude.
Chronic undercutter.
Yep.
Okay,
yeah,
buddy.
yeah. They call me paper hands. Paper. Yeah, I don't have a
And no, so the thing is, like, we actually ended up burning 535 DeGods through that process. But here's the thing: is like, something's coming. Like, let's just say, what is dead may never die, and that's the alpha leak for people that are deep in DeGods. What is dead may never die. Just remember that.